A very good morning to one and all present here. I am delighted to welcome you all to yet another session of our Health Talk series at JSS Institute of Naturopathy and Yogic Sciences, Navakare, Coimbatore. For so many years now, this platform has been our institute's small step towards a bigger goal to bring awareness about healthy living to public and the health seekers. And we have been able to do this constantly only because of the continuous support of our management, Principal VR Dilip, and the trust of the public and the health seekers. So, thank you all for making this series a success year after year. Today is this day two of the World's Breastfeeding Week, which is being observed from August 1st to 7th August. This year theme is Prioritize Breastfeeding, create a sustainable support system. So, this focus is on supporting mother, the family, the workplace, and the community to make breastfeeding more possible and comfortable. As we all know that the early days with the newborn can be beautiful, but also very challenging. The question about hatching, nutrition, and the care for the baby often leave new mothers feeling overwhelmed. To address this, we have brought together our experienced doctors from JSS Institute of Naturopathy and Yogic Sciences to share practical guidance and clear their doubts. For that, today, we are truly honored to have with us our eminent speaker for the day, Dr. Preeti K.S., heading the Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology. Doctor has a great experience in both healthcare and academics. Beyond her expertise in diagnostics, she has a deep understanding of maternal and childcare care. And today she will be sharing her valuable insights on breastfeeding, its benefits, challenges, and how we as a community can support the new mothers. So please join me for the virtual welcome to Dr. Preeti KS. Welcome, Dr. Preeti. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was such a warm welcome. So, as we are continuing the World Best Breastfeeding Week celebrations and awareness sessions, today we are at the third day of the Awareness Day, and I am very happy and to share my views and knowledge about the breastfeeding, maternal importance of maternal nutrition, connecting and recognizing the whole thing as a biological symphony. So I also thank our principal, Dr. Dilip, and our management, JSS Mahavidyapita, for providing me an opportunity to share my understanding, knowledge on this beautiful symphony. So let me start here uh, uh, by uh, so let me start with the term symphony itself. So here, as the basic knowledge of symphony basically says the how a music system works or harmony works, where each and every component has to work in a normal way so as to bring about the correct beauty of the music out of it. Similarly, it is not only about a child sucking onto a nipple of the breast of a mother and getting the milk is only the breastfeeding. It also involves other components like importance of nutrition to a mother, the environment which she is there, the family support which she gets, and the how healthily the mother is noticing the development of the child, her baby, everything. So it is not just a one point. Baby suckle the nipple, milk is released, and the baby is drinking. It's not about only that. So here we have to know this is also one of the important core matter where maternal nutrition has to be highlighted here. So let's go to the next slide. So as you can see here, nature's first food, that is a living biological tissue. So here, it is the breast milk is not considered as a food. It's considered it is a living biological tissue. So when we compare to other mammals like the horse or cow and all, they are developed with advanced motor function at birth itself. But let us think about the human infants. They are neurologically immature and they of course need an external life support. And that external life support, the prime life support is the breast milk. Okay. So the breast milk is a biological bridge which helps not only even shaping the brain or not only getting into an advanced motor function or anything, even the immune system, even the gut microbiome, everything the breast milk has contributing its beautiful uses. So, considering the evolutionary imperative, human infants are born neurologically immature, and first nutrition or first food they take should be a breast milk, and that will help all the this thing. And how do you think? What do you think about a formula milk? So we are all aware about the formula milk, but formula milk is being prescribed to mothers in consideration of any pathology or in any conditions. The doctor might prescribe or suggest providing formula milk for the baby. So it is only upon the suggestion or prescription by a doctor it has to be done. But when we compare, but I will not say total negative on formula, but if we compare the formula and breast milk, the formula is always a static. There is no change in that. The composition or the whatever composition, the color or the nature always remains the same. But is it the breast milk? No. The breast milk actually is different for mother to mother, different from morning and evening, different in first beginning of the feeding, ending of the feeding. Beginning depends upon if the baby is sick. Depends. It is the composition is different even in the night feedings. So formula is a static one, but breast milk is not throughout a single feed also. So we are all aware about the fore milk, hind milk and all. So fore milk is one which is lactose little bit is there and more amount of water or hydration is there. Later on the full fat comes. So it is never a same thing all time. It keeps on changing, and and that is the beauty of breast milk, that it keeps on changes and adapts to the newborn. So let's see, the WHO and AAP mandatorily immediate skin to skin contact and early initiation of golden hair. So most of you, not most of you, every one of you are aware about the golden hair. So the golden hair, of course, within that 1 hour, at least 5 to 7 milliliter of breast milk has to be provided. That is the cholesterol to the baby, and it has got its emulsive or immense antibodies and immune cells and everything is there. So, and WHO also says first 6 months exclusive breastfeeding has to be provided, not even water or food or anything, just breast milk is totally enough for the development of the baby. So so already the anatomy of a lactating breast was discussed. So let's have a quick recap about the anatomy of a lactating breast. So uh, we can see here as the arrows are being marked here, alveoli is their lactocytes, myoepithelial cells, milk ducts and Montgomery glands are the combination of anatomical structures which play an important role in releasing the milk from the nipple. So, as we know, alveoli is the one where it acts as a functional unit or storage. Lactocytes are the cells which extract the nutrients from maternal blood to synthesize milk. So here we have to give a more important factor, that it is not that the morning the food which I had, that is the milk which will be coming out now. Nothing like that. That is a popular myth, and the science is that the milk contains approximate amount of macronutrients, micronutrients, and what to say, other antibodies, everything extracted from the maternal blood. It does not depend upon morning if you had any particular food and that food particular vitamins will be going, nothing like that. Okay, and myoepithelial cells, muscle cells surrounding the alveoli that contract the push. So once the myoepithelial cells are the ones which gets activated and helps in contraction of the alveoli to push. And when pushed, the milk is going through the milk ducts towards the nipple. And the glands, which are Montgomery glands, are the one which provides lubrication as well as olfactory cues for the infant. Olfactory cue means the baby has got its understands the smell of mother's breast milk and everything. So even when we try to bring little bit near to the baby's mouth itself, immediately the baby will shift their head or tilt their head, and they themselves in the later on days they will themselves go and attach and latch on the nipple themselves. So, a very important clinical note which we have to think here is that, and again, another myth is that breast size is determined by fatty tissue and not glandular tissue. That means we should never ever think that a person who's having heavy bust or heavy breast produces more milk, and a person who have very least bust will or breast will produce less milk. Nothing like that. That is totally dependent upon the fat tissues, and breast milk production is totally depending upon the glandular aspect. So milk production is independent of its breast size and glandular production, not at all about the fat or fatty tissues. Let's move on to the next slide where, okay, here we have previous slide seen about the breast anatomy of breast and releasing. But is it only the breast plays an important role in that? No, it is there is an involvement. So here the word again symphony I can say the importance of nervous system. So it's also the nervous system plays an important role, one of the component of the symphony for releasing the breast milk. So here we can see the loop of first there is a stimulus where the infant when suckles stimulates. So the all these loop is already known for everyone. Just a recap of the knowledge we have. So instant suckling causes sensory stimulation of the sensory nerve endings, and that nerve endings are transmitted to the brain, especially to the hypothalamus and pituitary. So it will release the two important hormones, that is prolactin and oxytocin. Prolactin is the one which signals the lactocytes, which we have seen in the previous slides to synthesize more milk, and oxytocin, which we have seen the myoepithelial cells to contract the alveoli and let down reflex. So these both hormone balancingly act and releases the output, or the milk is removed and the cycle is repeated. So here also again I have to bust a myth that breast does not store milk. It does not store like immediately the breast milk for the next breastfeeding session the milk will be stored in the breast. No, it is always constant, means immediate production and immediate release of the milk. Okay, so it is always in the demand supply. So if we have noticed if the child is weak or sick or anything, there will be frequency of increased breastfeeding. So depending upon that, there will be production of milk in the mammary gland. So here, this is a graph showing the chronological evolution of breast milk. So here you can see the green line, sorry, the blue line is for the milk, and green line is for the hormonal productions. And we can see here another, in this slide, the another myth I would like to bust is that the first vaccine, nature's first vaccine, that is the colostrum, and that is being released from the day 1 to day 3, is which in color of viscous yellow color, is packed with secretory immunoglobulin A, leukocytes, and growth factors. And it seals the permeable neonatal gut also. So we can see here that colostrum, it will be around only 1 to 3 days, 40 to 50 ml. So the myth here is that when a girl immediately delivered a baby and when the relatives come to the hospital and immediately give a comment that the milk is less. Of course, in the 1 to 3 days, the milk will be less. So the size of the stomach of an infant will be that of a cherry or berry, and it can accommodate only 5 to 7 ml, and that much amount of cholesterol only will be released. And how the milk supply increases is that through demand and supply. That means upon next 2 hour feeding loop, then only there will be increased quantity of the milk. So this is an important point here. So it will be, of course, between the 1 to 3 days, the milk production will be less, and then only there will be increasing. So you can see here from day 4 to 14, there is an increased transmission. Volume is surging here. The main milk is coming in. So previously it was immunoglobulins A, leukocytes, growth factors, and that is now that is also will be present. Along with that, there will be high amount of fat and lactulose. Later, after 12 to 14 plus days, we have mature milk that is high volume. Then again, there will be increase in the volume. So there will be back. So here you can see the mature milk. That is, this tissue is now a balanced macronutrients and dynamic bioactive components will be there. So dynamic bioactive in the sense, dynamic in the sense, morning the composition will be the hormonal composition of the milk will be different, and it is study has been completed that the milk which is being produced in the night has got melatonin hormonal secretion also bit amount of little bit increased. So this is the dynamicity, how it is dynamic. And bioactive means the hormones, the nutrients, and the antibodies, everything present. Okay. Now let's see. So now we have understood the breast anatomy and the neuroendocrine loop. Now it is about the mature milk composition. So this one drop of milk, okay, a cellular drop of milk. You see how many things are present in this milk. So it has got macronutrients like carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, where carbohydrate play an important role in the brain development and energy and calcium absorption, and lipids play an important role in the myelination and nervous system development, and protein which helps in gastric emptying, digestion, and everything. And next thing is bioactive. This is very, very important. Here you can see human milk oligosaccharides. So here HMOs or human milk oligosaccharides over 200 complex sugars. So these are acting as a prebiotics. So that is why in the first 6 months EBF, that is exclusive breastfeeding, is enough for the baby. So these complex sugars are prebiotics, and this HMOs feed the healthy gut bacteria. So even maintenance of the gut bacteria is being uh, prominently played by the breast milk. And in the breast milk, living cells are also there. That is WBCs, stem cells, and tissue repairing and immune defense cells are there. And not only this HMOs and living cells, we have enzymes there, hormones there. So if baby doesn't take milk properly, if the baby is showing a gap of more than 3 to 4 hours, immediately then there will be the next milk production will be accordingly to improve the infant hunger hormone as well as the satiety hormone also. And the sleep matter also I have mentioned before. So the one drop of milk is not just a nutrition for the baby, macronutrients, but it is also containing human milk oligosaccharides, more millions of leukocytes, cells, living cells, and enzymes and hormones and RNAs. So this we have seen already. The composition and the milk goes on changes. So colostrum is a one which is also called as nature's first vaccine. Then the transition goes, and for 4 to 14 it will be little bit increased fat and lactose content milk, and later it will be mature milk, that is after 2 weeks or after 15 days. So here mature milk contains two categories. That is, in first milk which will be released is called as fore milk, which will be lighter and little bit bluish in color. That means the milky white color will not be there, and the fore milk will be fat rich one. So this is already being mentioned. So this slide talks about fore milk and hind milk. So the starting of the feed will be as the milk accumulates between feeds, fat globules. First stage it will be attached to the alveolar walls. Okay, so the initial milk. So it is actually like 2 hours the baby is not. So in case of let's take an example, the baby is exclusively breastfed. So 2 hours or 3 hours, the baby is not even fed with water. So it is not necessary the baby needs water. So the first thing is the baby has to quench the thirst. So that is one of the main reason where the fore milk is watery. So the initial milk drawn is higher in volume of water, lactose, and the fat will be there that will be attached to the alveoli, and it provides an immediate hydration and quick energy. So when we are in thirst and when we drink water, that quenching of thirst and resentment or the feeling is there, no, that will be felt for the baby. Then the baby continues to suck on the breast nipple, and what happens is that hind milk starts releasing. So what happens? There will be release of fat globules, attached fat globules, which will be put into the milk, and the lipid concentration increases. And later on, towards after 10 to 15 minutes, the baby feels a satiety, that is feeling of fullness, and the baby will latch off. So this is how beautifully the work happens. That is fore milk and hind milk. So clinical takeaway from here is that, and here once again a myth is that it is always said that if we are giving the baby milk after few hours, it will be bluish in color and we have to discard the initial milk. It is not necessary. The color of the milk is lighter and bluish is only the reason why, because it is containing more water, and that is of course to quench the thirst of the baby. So that is the one important thing we have to see. Now let's take about the maternal metabolic tax or the lactational energetics. So of course this is the process we have learned now, right? So what is the milk and the anatomy of a breast and the neuroendocrine loop, the anatomy, physiology, everything. So what about the mother? So does the mother needs an extra calorie? Is there a demand for extra calorie? Of course, yes. Milk synthesis requires a massive expenditure of metabolic energy. So this is also a kind of what to say important activity or running a marathon every day, we can say. So lactating mothers require an additional of 330 to 500 plus kilocalorie per day to sustain an output of 750 to 1000 ml liter per day. Okay, so this much physiology, if it has to happen, means that much amount of energy has to be received by the mother. And what is the dietary impact on milk profile? So elevate. So here dietary impact they have mentioned is, of course, this is from a research paper. They are mentioning that a lactating mother plate should have a carbohydrate and fat balanced food so that it will match the calorie demand which is given by the body. Next is hydration. Again, next myth which we have to bust here is that whether the mother has to drink more amount of water. No, the mother has to drink water according to the thirst or whenever the thirst is there. But of course, keeping a water bottle nearby or providing a water bottle to a breastfeeding mother, because immediately the mother might feel a little bit of thirst in the beginning of breastfeeding. So to quench the thirst, the hydration can be done, and normal 8 to 12 liters, sorry, 8 to 12 glasses of water in a day is enough for mother. So, so decoding cues, this is hunger cue shown by the what I say babies, and how to identify that and to provide. So initially, of course, the mother who is giving birth to a baby for the first time and involving in postpartum everything, along with that, this beautiful breastfeeding journey might miss some of the things. So an adequate education about the hunger cue is also important for the mother. So when the mother uh, sees opening of the mouth, or lips are smacking, or hand is going to the mouth movement, that is the early feed now, feed me now, like that the cue is being given by the baby. Later on, if that feed now is not being met, the baby will transition into agitation, turning red and active crying. So this also hunger cue. So sometime it is research study has also already said that. So when we hear the crying of the baby, okay, so that also will what I say, that also through the physiological will release milk. Next is evidence. So this is clinical situations, and importance of providing an education on breast milk has been provided in this slide. So these myths we have busted. So the 5 A's in case of a clinical lactation counseling is actively listen to. So as this is especially for all the students who are listening to us now. So we have to ask and listen to the maternal anxieties without immediate judgment. So if they are telling means, we should not misjudge them. Listen carefully, use our knowledge and answer them. Assessing a feed is very, very important, and giving advice and reassurance, providing not only to the mother, also to her family environment, that is the baby's father, all over the mother, father, grandparents. The education providing to them is also very much important in this aspect. Assisting and arranging classes regarding teaching of what is latching, what is hunger cue, what is a fore milk, hind milk. Everything helps giving a mother a pre-knowledge so that they will not end up in confusion and anxiety. So now let's go on. We have understood that there is a calorie demand for the mother, and now we can enter into the first thing, the biological marathon. So here you see an adult female normally requires only 1900 calories. When comparing to a lactating female, you see 2500 to 3450 kilocalories as being asked. So a well-nourished mother, so this much amount of nourishment has to be received by a mother, and then there will be adequate release of milk also. So the mechanism we have already seen, and this was which I was already talking about. In the day one, there will be only release of 5 to 7 ml, day 3, 22 to 27 ml of milk. So that doesn't mean that the mother is secreting less milk. That is the normal amount of milk which is released by the baby. And later on, how the quality and quantity increases is through supply and demand. So demand, supply. So once this demand and supply is met, then there will be constantly, after the 15 days, 750 ml to 1 liter of milk will be released from mother's body. One of the Allen's classification, a scientific research study, have what to say divided nutrients of mother into two types. So this is very interesting one. So that it is telling two groups of nutrient, that is one is diet responsive and another one is biologically buffered. So here you can see in this slide that in group 1 nutrients, in the mechanism tells us secretion into the milk is highly dependent on maternal diet. That means the mother should take vitamin B in her food. Iodine should be there, vitamin A should be there, thiamine should be there, riboflavin, vitamin D should be there. Why? Because in the milk, these vitamins and minerals are taken directly from the maternal blood, depending upon the supply which is being taken through the diet. The next group 2 is that whatever, if the mother is not at all taking calcium, or if the mother is not at all taking iron, for the baby, how much ever iron or calcium is needed, that will be extracted from the body. So these group 2 nutrient does not depend upon mother's diet. Whatever. So if the mother is not at all taking any calcium rich food or iron rich food, what happens is that in the mother's what is a store, mother store of tissue store, where the calcium is there, where the iron is there, it will be released. But what happens is that there will be osteopenia, anemia, and this thing, all these things will be resulting. So these are the group 1 nutrients and group 2. So group 1 is directly from the dependent on the diet, and group 2 is biologically. So if a mother is not at all taking calcium rich food, it will be balanced from mother's reserve. I'm sorry. So next is critical micronutrients requiring. So here we have 4 very important need only it is being mentioned. Of course, all micronutrients are very important, but among all these 4 are the very important uh, micronutrients required. So the first one is iodine. Iodine is important for infant thyroid hormone and neurodevelopment. Next one is vitamin B12, which is good for preventing megaloblastic anemia and severe neurological damage. Next is DHA, which helps in brain and eye development. And next is vitamin D, which rarely supplies, and vitamin D is very, very necessary for the baby. So among all the micronutrients, these 4 are very important needed. So group 2, which we have seen in the previous slide, here it is there. So it is not only about dependent fully on, okay, if we give mother a balanced plate of diet and that's all, okay, the baby will be happy, or no. It is the breast milk production does not solely dependent on nutrition. The breast milk production always is also dependent on how emotionally well-being of the mother is, how the remaining systems are working for her, okay, how the baby is correctly latching on the nipple and all, and how the mother is maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So here you see a mother is involving in caffeine, alcohol, smoking, and very much increased exposure to environmental toxins like mercury and all. It will all automatically alter the composition of milk, reduce the quality and quantity of the milk, and in turn, the fuel for the baby is being disturbed here. Okay. So, as I said, these 4 are important. Not only if we give a good balanced diet for a mother is very good, frequent milk removal is very, very important. That is always, if it is exclusively breastfed baby means every 2 hours there should be feeding done. So frequent milk removal should be there. Correct latching. The latching, so the upcoming classes will be taken on what is the correct latching and proper latching and correct emptying. That has to happen. Rest and well-being of the mother and proper hydration. Okay. So if we do all these things, and if the breastfeeding is properly done with 100% success, then what are the health outcomes for an infant? For an infant, there will be drastic reductions in severe diarrhea, pneumonia, ear infections, neonatal sepsis. And for mother, immediately oxytocin will release accelerates the uterine involution. So the postpartum involution will be accelerated, and maternal infant bonding will be improved. Next is lifelong improvement in infants is that it will be for the brain development, cognitive development, and reducing the risk of childhood asthma, obesity, and type 2. You see, for the baby in the long term, diabetes or obesity, asthma, even that can be prevented, or risk can be reduced by giving a good exclusive breastfeeding. Next is lifelong maternal health. For the this is for a mother, breastfeeding is done means It will reduce the risk of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and all. So this is what the plate which we were discussing about, which maternal plate. So it should have a half plates of vegetables and fruits, especially including the micronutrients of iodine, vitamin D, and this thing. Next is protein. It's very, very important. So next is targeted micronutrients, grains and millets are really very important for sustained energy. So the next core macronutrients. Now let's see. We have said about macronutrients and micronutrients. Let's see where is the source of this macronutrients and micronutrients. So we can see first we can discuss about the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates can be received from whole grains like oats, broken wheat, brown rice, quinoa, ragi, and portions of this 10 sorry not 10, 30 grams of 3 portions per day is very, very important and nutritious to get carbohydrates. Next is for proteins, including egg, paneer, soybean, moong dal, orange, masoor dals, which will be giving 75 grams of protein per day. And next is for the fat, the soaked almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and flax seeds, which will supply the needed fat for the mother. So these are the micronutrients sources which, if provided in a correct portions for the mother, will be helpful. Next is what are the sources of micronutrients which can provide. So the first one is iron. So dry beans, green peas, poha, jaggery are all good sources of iron. Not only this, green leafy vegetables and other things can be used. And cooking in iron vessels and tomatoes will, so of course we know iron absorption, bioavailability of iron is improved by vitamin C. So tomatoes, including tomatoes and vitamin C lemons, will improve the iron absorption. Next is calcium. So calcium is observed through curd, paneer, and mustard greens, and vitamin A to be complex, and folic acid, spinach, beetroot, carrots, pomegranate, apple. So it is never like, okay, you are a lactating mother, you eat beetroot more. Okay, you're lactating mother, you eat this more. Not like that. The plate of a lactating mother should be balanced. Okay, so the balance in the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat has to be met. And the involvement of micronutrients like irons, vitamins, calcium, iodine has to be there. And one thing which we have to warn or importantly highlight is that tea and coffee, if it is taken, means the dietary iron is being, or the availability of dietary iron is being disturbed here. So this alteration should be carefully checked, and the food has to be taken carefully. Next, considering the Ayurveda perspective or herbology perspective, we have few of the herbs which is being coming under the category of a galactogog toolkit. So, as a naturopathy practitioner, following the principles of or philosophy of naturopathy, we doesn't mainly rely on a package of galactogog so that you lactating mother you give or eat this so that your milk will produce more or you will nothing like that, but including this in the so these are all the whatever is mentioned here are also correct nutrient and micronutrient packed food and balanced food which will maintain a steady breastfeeding or breast milk flow. So the first one important is fenugreek. Fenugreek. Next is jeera, a potent so warm jeera can be consumed as decoction. Then we have a shatavari, oats, ragi, garlic, and poppy seeds are being considered as a good galactogog toolkit. So these are the herbs which can be added on to our balanced plate. We should not totally, okay, I'll just totally rely on methi, jeera and all. No, not nothing like that. carbohydrate, protein, fat are also important. So there should be a balance, and not relying only on galactose should be done. And here, talking about the hydration mandatory. So hydration mandatory is not always, if it is a rainy season, cannot always rely on drinking water. So providing a soup based thing and warm water and all will be very important, or will be helpful for maintaining. And next thing is red light foods. So here also, this is a myth which has to be partially accepted and partially unaccepted, I would say. Why? Because when a mother is lactating, or a lactating mother, old people used to say you should not have this particular food. So cruciferous vegetables like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and all you should use. That will induce colic and gas triggers. So here, how we can identify this as a myth, or identify this as a science is, when we want to understand this as a science, if the baby is producing after you when you eat, okay, if you are observing that it is happening, and once again you just repeat and see whether the same thing is happening, then we can understand that that particular food is creating a colic or gas. So it does not mean that cabbage for all the female in a room will cause colic. It is depending upon observation. A mother has to carefully observe. So, of course, the mother is carefully observing 6 months fully a baby. So she knows the hunger cues, she knows the pattern of baby, everything. So that observation has to be included in this, whether colic or gas is there. And then we can remove that particular item from our food or from our plate and eat other alternatives to balance our food. So this is a myth which I would always say it's partially accepted and not always, which happens to everyone. But if you ask about the pickles and chips and heavily salted, this is not even healthy for the mother. So we know, even not only for the mother, a normal human being also, in a preventive medicine, we ask people to avoid pickles, chips, and heavily salted foods. And of course, if a lactating mother is taking pickle, chips, and heavy salted food, what happens is that the iron and calcium absorption is inhibited here. And we have learned in the previous slide that group 2 uh, buffering ones need take iron and calcium from the reserves. So that is the important matter here. Next is high mercury fish and alcohol, smoking, high caffeinated drinks has to be completely avoided. And again, digestive irritating food is recommended to remove. So here again we will go into myth and science. So one first myth is saying that newborn jaundice is caused by certain items in mother's diet. No, if the mother ate that, why that is the reason the newborn has got jaundice. No, jaundice is something which is related to the production of bile of the organ present, liver, gallbladder present inside the baby. A mismatch in that releases the disease called as jaundice. It is nothing related to the mother's diet. Next is baby need extra water in the hot summer season. So if a lactating mother is doing an exclusive breastfeeding in session in the hot summer, and the elder is suggesting that it is hot, you should provide milk. No. Breast milk contains 87% of hydration. Even an EBF baby, exclusive breastfed baby, will get optimum hydration from the breast milk alone. Next is mother should avoid fruits and vegetables while healing. Why not? They have to include fruits and vegetables, and they has got naturally packed macro micronutrients which will help their even postpartum recovery too. Avoiding whole grams and dals. So as we have already discussed this myth, we have to identify whether that is real cause of causing a colic or gas in the baby. Then we have to remove it and replace with an alternative. That's all. So again, we can see this is the plate of a mother. It should be a balanced, wholesome plate containing whole grains, proteins, fats, and micronutrients. So here we can see the 10 golden dietary rules. The first rule is the 3-hour rule, that is eat small meals frequently. Of course, we have seen more videos about A pregnant woman is always craves for food and craves for ice creams and everything we have seen. But the more craving or the exact craving we can observe in a lactating mother. And in order to meet that craving, every 3 hour feeding, small quantity feeding is good, and whatever is fed should be a healthy one. No replacement. Never replace a main meal with a snack food. We have to be very careful about that. And the freshness first should be very important. Stock the bedside. So, a breastfeeding mother will be taking the baby and sitting immediately for breastfeeding. So, the bedside stacking of healthy snacks can be shatavari laddus or til laddus or sesame laddus, everything can be kept along the bedside. Gentle movement. Movement is very, very important. Short physical activity should be there. Oil in moderation. Smart fats. Okay, fat means okay, I will, there is a fat should be needed for the lactating mother. Let me eat ghee, not like that. We have to select the smart fat. Smart fat is the flax seeds, cashews, and all. So these also we have to include. Flavor consideration, be mind. So we have to consider the flavor. Keep taking off vitamins. So every mother, lactating mother, will be provided with 2 weeks of iron and calcium supplementation from her consulting doctor. That has to be maintained. And a mother should be relaxed, kept relaxed, and her emotional and psychological well-being should be met then and there. So, a day in a life of this is a routine plan, meal plan, and this is what I say. Uh, so, if we want to go into this plan, we can pick every day what grain which can meet carbohydrate, what protein, what vegetable, and we can mix match and make a diet for that particular day. So the final blueprint says that nourishes. So it is always said that once a baby is being born, the concentration and the shift, there will be a shift of attention and concentration towards the baby, and the mother is left. And that is being said, and they are telling that they are even now the thing has changed. No, still it is there. So the mother is the one who is for the next 6 months and who is going to be the futurely nourish the baby. So if we want to nourish the baby, we have to nourish the mother. Nourish does not mean okay, mother, you eat, this is the balanced food. No, nourishing physically, mentally, everything is very, very important. And so this will be very good to as a good supportive way. So this is a slide which explains 0 to 6 months. World Health Organization. So it is not that. So personally, most of the people might have experienced very harsh, what to say, comments during exclusive breastfeeding, because the grandparents at their time have not done that. And when people are doing exclusive breastfeeding, they might have heard so many comments and negative remarks. But WHO, that is World Health Organization, after conducting thousands and thousands of experimental studies, came into a conclusion that 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding is a compact nutrition. Not only nutrition, even the breastfeeding creates a mental well-being. What to say, that mental well-being also will be balanced in the baby, for the baby. So it's good for even baby and mother, and it has been established by World Health Organization too. And it does not mean that, okay, 6 months is over, you stop breastfeeding. WHO also says that we have to give it for minimum of 2 years, and beyond 2 years, depending upon the wish. So they have highlighted the word wish of mother and baby. So this following slides will be a recap of or whatever which I have said now. So it is not only about the nutrition, maternal, emotional state, demand, supply, and how we control the external agents is important. Then dietary, it is not solely dependent on dietary intake. All the required what is the numerical value is there here. Then always, this is a one important slide where we should not force hydration. We should not tell that you drink more water, then only you will get milk. Drinking for thirst, that is enough, and maintaining 8 to 12 glasses of drinking water is enough. And if at all, if the mother is facing any diseases like cardiac, anemia, tuberculosis, kidney disease, then that also might impair with the milk production. So in such conditions, a doctor, a consulting doctor opinion has to be taken, and follow-up has to be taken, so as to maintain the control the disease and maintain the breastfeeding. So this is a beautiful slide which explains a maternal distress is kind of a blockage to the supply. So my mother has to be kept okay, and supply and demand is the gear system. So continuously, so the mechanism you can see, it has to be continuously working tirelessly, 2 hours gap, the baby fed. Then there will be continuously supply and the output will be very good. Uh, so that's all about my session. And so I hope I could give you a symphony of breastfeeding, that is component. Breastfeeding is not just a release of milk from the breast and the baby is drinking. We have to give importance to each pillar, and a little bit much more pillar on nutrition aspect I have shared here. I hope this reaches every person, or not only a breastfeeding mother, each and every person. And those who are listening, the students, teach your near and dear ones and your patients that this is not a disease. This is a beautiful physiology which creates a pavement, or which is the basement for the new generation. Okay. So the health of every generation begins with the nourishment of a mother, and supporting the mother, nourish the baby, strengthen our future should be our motto. So with these words, once again, I thank our principal, Dr. Dilip, and JSS management for providing me this wonderful opportunity to share my views. Thank you.
Dr. Preeti, on behalf of the entire faculties and students, we extend our sincere appreciation for your insightful online session on World's Breastfeeding Week, Day 2. Your talk beautifully covered the importance of breastfeeding, milk secretion, common myths, types of breast milk, correcting hatching techniques, and extra calorie and nutritional need of the lactating mother. The way you explained the golden dietary rule and need of the mental support was extremely clear and will truly help new mothers overcome their doubts and challenges. So, thank you for taking the time to educate and empower our students and community with such valuable knowledge. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. With this, we come to the end of today's session on day 2 of World's Breastfeeding Week. Tomorrow, we will be back with another important and useful topic for the new mothers on day 3. Please stay with us and join us again tomorrow. Thank you all.